Hey folks, Tom here. Sorry about that. Started a minute or so later than I wanted to. Getting changed and organized from the longsword yoga class. Welcome back. It's Thursday night. We're going to do, if you were on Tuesday, we did a lot more conditioning Tuesday night. We're going to do a lot more conditioning tonight. Well, about the same as we did Tuesday night tonight. And then going to do our cut drills, footwork drills. We're going to do our cut drills from a different guard with a different cut. So if you've been following along, we started the cut drills, I think it was a week ago, Thursday, and we were doing the descending cuts from both sides, both feet forward. Tuesday, we did the high horizontal cuts as part of the footwork drill. Today we're going to do ascending cuts, upward diagonal cuts from both right and left, right foot forward and left foot forward as part of the drill. So give yourself some space, make sure you have plenty of room, make sure you have water nearby. Take a minute, we're going to stop about halfway through and get a quick drink because I am going to do, again, we're doing conditioning now in the first half hour. Hopefully you enjoy this. As always, if you have any ideas of what you want to see, reach out, right? If you saw my video I posted, and hopefully you did, up on the Facebook page. This is all about community, right? It's all about keeping us connected to each other. So workout, I'm here by myself. We're what, 2.5 weeks since we closed our doors. The governor here just extended the stay-at-home order until May 1st. I'm sure that's going to go farther. We'll see. I'm going to keep offering these classes on Tuesday and Thursday nights. We may be able to put in some additional ones. For my young kids in the class, I'm going to probably do a kids class on Wednesday nights via Zoom, so y'all can see each other again. If you are out there and have been meaning to join us and come to a kids class, ping me, right? Message me, and I'll add you into that group, and we'll get things rolling. Thank you very much for those that are supporting the school. I really appreciate that. It helps keep the doors open so we can be here when all this stuff goes away. So if you have it in your means to be able to support us through continued membership, thank you. That's all I can say. Thank you. Great. If you have any questions, if you have anything you want to see in our next couple of classes, we're going to talk a lot about, thank you, Eric, we're going to talk about invitations today for the second half of class and work through what that means, and invitations from different guards, and a guard versus an invitation, and how you can use that from both perspectives, from the person applying its perspective and from the opponent's perspective. I'm always trying to do both sides of this coin for us. If you disagree with anything I'm saying, have an opinion, cool. Give me a call, pop it in the chat, shoot me a video, post a video. Let's do it, man. The more we can learn together, the better we're all going to be. So with that, I stalled enough. Let's get rolling. We're going to start off with our opening sun salutation stretching routine, and then from there we're going to start into some jumping jacks and conditioning. So feet shoulder width apart. Ready? All right. Up to the ceiling. Get a nice stretch. Bend forward at your waist. Touch knees, ankles, ground, toes, whatever you can reach. Walk forward in the downward dog. Push those heels toward the ground. Dive down, roll up. Nice stretch. Up into plank. For those that did the longsword yoga class, not Yoda class, that's this one more or less. Sorry about this. Left foot up. Back. Right foot up. And back into plank. Back into downward dog. This time tuck your chin to your chest, head between your arms. Walking forward, stay on your tiptoes. We're going to roll up nice and slow. Ready? All the way, reach up to the ceiling. If you're wobbling, that's a good thing, right? Wobbling means you're working your stabilizers. So wobbling is very good. Out to the walls. Really try to reach out to the walls. And down. All right. So let's do some jumping jacks, some push-ups, and some sit-ups. So 25 jumping jacks, your pace, your counts. Then we're going to move in doing some push-ups and some sit-ups. So we'll be pausing in between there so everybody has a chance to complete your set. So 25 jumping jacks. Ready? Go. If you only did 20, cool, good. If you did 10, that's good too. Tomorrow, do one more, right? Or the next time you do this. And again, let me emphasize this. I said this on Tuesday, probably always say it. Sit-ups and push-ups are not things to be done every single day, right? Your body needs a chance to rest. Your muscles need a chance to grow and rest. That's what the day off is, right? So that's why we do this Tuesdays and Thursday nights and not Tuesday and Wednesday night. You do not have to do push-ups and sit-ups every single day like some people recommend. I don't prescribe to that, right? Every other day. So, push-ups, 20 push-ups, your pace. You can do them flat on the ground. You can do them as knuckles like we did at the end of Thursday's class. I'm going to do probably knuckles now. If you do them on your knees, absolutely cool. Just make sure that you extend forward. You can see that in the side camera, right? So you give yourself some resistance. You're not out to your toes, you're on your knees. But again, you don't want to be here because you're really not engaging your core at all and you're not doing anything. So you really want to have those knees out. So we're going to do 20 push-ups, roll over, and 40 sit-ups. So with that, 20 push-ups. If you're going to do your knuckles, I was a little lazy there. This floor is kind of hard and pain in the butt, pain in the knuckles. It hurts a little bit. You really want to be up toward the first half of the hand, right? Your first couple knuckles, where you want to keep a nice alignment. I like doing knuckle push-ups because I get a little bit of a deeper range of motion because with my wrist flat, so here's my point of farthest I go down. On my knuckles, I can get an extra inch or two. I know that might not sound like a lot. Nate, where's the joke? Anyway, you'll get that if you've been here before. But I like knuckle push-ups. It's different, right? It really, and it's a nice stable and it strengthens your forearms and it really kind of is a different way of doing it. So if you have a chance and you haven't done that, try that. Okay, sit-ups. I've said this a bunch of times, right? I am not a fan and I don't advocate doing sit-ups where you go all the way down and all the way up. That first quarter and that last quarter, you get minimal benefit. I can't in good conscience say you get no benefit, but you get minimal benefit to your core, which is what you want, right? So we're going to do 40 sit-ups. You can do them flat on the ground with your feet flat. You can raise your feet up. You can do compression sit-ups. You can do pulses, which are very small movements. You can do oblique sit-ups. You can do leg lifts, right? I want you to work your core, right? I'll do obliques at the end of class. We're going to do more of these halfway through. For now, I'm going to do compression. So my feet are going to come up, my back's going to come up at the same time. Again, if you're doing standard sit-ups, you only need to go from here to here. If you think it's easy, do it. It's not. It's meant to be engage your core the entire time. So, 40 sit-ups, your pace. Ready? Go. Good. Let everybody finish up. If you're finished up, grab yourself some water while you're here. And let's do some footwork. All right. so what we've decided on doing, and I kind of like this, and I'm going to take this into classes once we resume here with everyone here. We usually do footwork all the way up the line and all the way back. We will certainly continue to do that, but I like this one because we can do more in a smaller space, and we can really focus on the movement, right? So we're going to do the gathering step, then we're going to do single advance, double advance, back and forth in place. So you'll be right foot forward, left foot back. Remember the alignment. If you haven't heard the baseball bat story, watch the footwork alignment video that I have up there. There's a funny story, a YouTube video. I gotta find the link still and put it back up. Anyway, right foot is pointing to the direction you want to travel. I used to say to your opponent, right? But if my opponent is here and I want to go to the opposite side, I better step to the direction I want to go, right? Your footwork will dictate where your cut goes, where your body's natural geometry goes. So make sure your foot is aligned with your knee and everything's aligned forward. And that's the most important thing as you're doing this footwork, right? You don't want that foot out because my foot's pointing at like 11 o'clock on the clock, right? See my hand flying off to the left there. If I want to go this way, my toe is pointed that way, I'm immediately putting tension on my knee. Every step I make forward, I'm putting tension on my knee, right? I'm going forward with my body, but my lower half is pointing in an opposite direction. Not good. It will hurt your leg over time. It will deteriorate those joints. It will shorten your career as a fencer, right? And a fighter. Right foot forward. Point those toes forward for this exercise. We're going to step and pull. That's one. We're going to step back and pull. I know the side view there, but to get it a little bigger, we're going to step, pull ourselves into place, or step and pull ourselves back. I am not jumping. We're going to add that in today. I wasn't thinking about it, but I kind of like, so we're going to talk about that after we do footwork. So 2 steps, 1 step at a time, forward and back is 1. We're going to do 10, switch sides. So advance, retreat, 1, advance, retreat, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Sorry, Nicole just walked in. No coffee?
No. It's closed. Wait, where's the key?
Right behind you on the desk.
Oh, okay.
All right. So, sorry,
Bye.
folks. Bye. All right. So, switch your feet. Left foot forward. 1 step up, 1 step back. 10. Ready? Go. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Realize I'm stepping before I move. Hopefully you're seeing that, right? I don't want you to jump back. That's not the footwork we were just doing. We're going to do those in a few minutes. Switch your feet back. 2 steps forward, 2 steps back. Yes, you can laugh at that if you're older and get the joke. Double advance, double retreat. Keep your head nice and level. We don't want to do this. As we move, we want to keep our head nice and flat as best we can. So double advance, double retreat, 10 up, 10 back. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Switch feet. Left foot forward. 2 up, 2 back. Go. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Good. Use your footwork. It should sound very stupid to say this and very simple, Use your footwork to move in and out of measure of your opponent. Yes, I'm not leaning to get closer to my opponent, I'm stepping to get closer to my opponent. That means I've got to know how big or how little of a step to make when I'm moving away or just out of measure, right? So the best thing you can do is be someone known to have good measure, right? Known to understand distance, right? You can go to any martial arts school, any discipline, and you can apply the techniques of distance management and measure and understanding distance to your opponent. And one of the most universal concepts, probably the most universal concept, is distance, right? How close am I to my opponent? Can they hit me? Can I get hit? Can I hit them, right? Footwork, it's all about footwork. So let's do the pushing steps. We're doing these pulling steps. So it's step, pull, step, pull. Now we're going to do a pushing step. Sometimes I've just got to blast forward. I've just got to go, right? The nice thing about the pulling step is I can step halfway between that movement. I can reverse direction very easily. Step, and I can use my front leg to kind of, or my rear leg, right, to kind of pivot me forward or back. Whatever my original intention was, I can reverse that direction very, very easily, right? That's the beauty of the pulling step, right? Pushing step is a little different. It's a little more ballistic. I can load the step, and I'll talk about that in a second. But we're going to do the same drills with the pushing step, 10 up, 10 back, single, and double, right? So a pushing step is I'm literally pushing from my back foot, one. Pushing from my front foot, two. It's a hop, right? It's a very low to the ground hop. I'm not trying to hop, right? But I am pushing, I'm propelling myself forward. If you're doing a lunge and if you're following a classical teaching, you'll want to push with your heel, right? That heel is what drives, not your toe. That being said, everyone drives from their toe because we get excited and we just kind of do it. You'll find yourself having more power, and we'll talk about a lunge, and we'll talk about a thrust at a later class. Mark that one off, and we talk about that at one point, because thrusting with an LED saber is difficult at best, and it's dangerous because they don't bend the way steel does. So I don't emphasize it for beginners a lot, but it is certainly a good, valuable technique to learn. The mechanics of a lunge are incredibly valuable. So anyway, pull it, pushing step. Our back foot, we're going to be right foot forward, left foot back. If I stand in my normal guard, right, with my normal stance across, and I go to push, I have a limited distance I can travel. Yes, I can get a nice deep lunge and I can push, and that might not be deep for some of you, can obviously go a lot deeper than I can. But yes, I can get a nice long distance if I push. But the nice benefit about a pushing step is I can preload my step. So I can be fighting with my opponent, load my back foot to my front. I haven't changed my plane to my opponent, right? But I brought my foot so I can be a lot closer to them a lot quicker by that pushing step. We'll talk about that in a minute, actually. Let's just do the pushing step movement. So right foot forward, left foot back. I just want us in our normal stance to push and step. We're going to go 10 forward. We're going to push from our front foot back. Ready? Let's reset this. We ready? 10 forward, 10 back. Pushing from that back leg. Go. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 10. Switch feet. Again, pushing from that back leg going forward, pushing from that front leg coming back. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Let's do those 2 steps, 2 pushes. Jump, 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 jump back. So I want to give myself a little room. Make sure that I'm still on camera here for you guys. So, push, push. 1, 2, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. The reason I laughed there, if you saw my feet, I actually did a couple pulling steps in there. Kind of comes back naturally. But you should absolutely be feeling that on that left leg right now. Those propelling forward steps. Let's switch your feet. 10 forward, 10 back with your left foot forward. Left foot forward. Ready? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Good job. Get some water. We'll talk a little bit what we're going to do next. So, what was I talking about? I got to write notes I'm doing. Anyway, let's do some cuts. I'm just going to quick drink of water. Then we'll do some cuts. All right. Finally got a saber in my hand, right? 24 minutes in, I finally got a saber. Anyway. Get good at footwork, get good at movement, get good conditioning. This becomes secondary. Put any weapon in your hand. Train in that system. The fundamentals are the same, right? That's why they're called fundamentals. They're the best foundation you can do. All right, so let's do our cut drill. We'll start off like we did last week. We'll do our cut form up and back. All 8 cuts forward. 7 cuts in the thrust at the end walking backwards, and then we'll do some specific cut drills with the ascending cuts. So from here, I think I'm still in frame, there we go. Natural pose. Let's do this is our first form. This is our cut form. Around the head, 2 descending cuts. Full cuts. 1, 2, horizontal cut, 3, horizontal cut, 4, upward cut, 5, 6, straight down, 7, gathering step, 8, round the head, cut down, 1, 2, horizontal, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, and here's the thrust, 8. Don't know if I was in camera for that last one, I think I was. All right, one more time. This time, half cuts from the elbow. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Round 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Cool. Awesome. Do that form every day. That's something you can do every single day. Just stand there in natural pose, come around, cut went through the angle, my foot's forward, my knees forward, around. By the way, when you're doing that, you're practicing your inverted block or the hanging parry we did on Tuesday. Do that cut drill. So now let's talk about let's go through rear low guard, and we'll do some cut drill going forward with that guard. Rear low guard. So we're going to start with left foot forward, right foot back. Actually, let's start where we usually do this. Right foot forward, left foot back, middle guard. From here, step back with your right foot, bring your sword back and down. Rear low, right? Some systems you will hide the sword behind your back leg. Other systems you will be out a bit so you can see it along the side of your body. Essentially, the mechanics are, my point is down and behind. Simple, right? The natural mechanical movements from here are the highest probability. We talked about probability of cuts. I'm going to continue to use that term. The highest probability strike from a low guard is an upward cut. It's the shortest distance to travel. Can I do a descending cut from a low guard? Sure, but I have to travel through another guard to be there. So from this guard, it's the highest probability attack. My low guard, a descending cut, is going to take a little longer because it's got to travel a little farther distance, right? So if your opponent is across from you in this rear low guard, the highest probability of attack they're going to throw is an upward cut. So that's the drill we're going to do today. With a saber, we have this infinite edge, right? We have this round edge. It shouldn't mean you shouldn't avoid good edge alignment. You must maintain good edge alignment because that'll mean good body mechanics and body alignment. So, I don't think we've talked about edge alignment with a lightsaber before, but we will now. Edge alignment with a lightsaber. We have this infinite edge, right? So technically I can hit you with any angle and it really doesn't matter. That being said, the better structure that I have in my cuts, whether it's a front edge cut or a back edge cut, right? The more I align to where that edge would be from my body geometry perspective, the more structured my attacks will be, which means they'll be harder to defend against. They'll be more efficient in their movements, right? Yes, I can whack you from any angle, sure, but you know, it's not going to be as efficient. It might not be as strong. It might not be as much presence to it. It certainly might not be registered as a good solid hit. So, your knuckles and your hands really going to help you figure this out. I'm going to grab my longsword in a second to show you. So, I grip this saber nice and comfortably, right? My knuckles align to where my front edge of the blade would be. So, knuckles, front edge. Back of my hand, back edge. Pretty simple, right? If I grab my longsword for a second here, right? You can see clearly an edge, right? Clearly an edge. Front edge is the edge on the side of my knuckles, the side I'm cutting into with. That's the front edge. The back edge is the side on the back of my hand. So yes, I can do back edge attacks. Yes, depending on the weapon, some parts of the back edge are sharp. Long swords do both sides, and sabers, the top quarter or third might be, depending on the type of weapon you have, right? The back edge will be sharp or can be used as a back edge cut. I want to make sure that I apply that same mechanics, right, and that same alignment to my LED saber, right? If I don't, I lose out on a lot of benefit, right? So here, practice proper edge alignment. So again, my knuckles represent my front edge of the saber, and back edge of the saber. Edge alignment drill. All right, cool. Let's do a cut from it. So, right foot forward, left foot back, middle guard. Step back into rear guard. Right. So depending on where system and what school and how you want to approach this, I may hide my blade behind my leg. Hopefully you can't see it in the video. Yeah, you can. There it is. It could be out in front of me. Really depends on what I want to do. For our drill today, we're going to do a very simple leading edge ascending cut from the hip to the shoulder, clavicle. I can do this cut from under the arm and up. I can do it to the leg and up, right? It really is a cut going from the lower right quadrant to the upper left quadrant from your perspective, right? So if my opponent is mirroring my stance, so they are left foot forward as well, they are here, right? I am here. My cut is coming up to their outside. I always want to step in because I want the strength of my hip driving my cut. I don't care if you're doing a downward cut, horizontal cut, you want your whole body in that cut, right? So I don't want to cut this up to the right, move my hips to the left. I can't even do it sometimes, right? You just don't get as much power. Not saying it wouldn't work. Hey, if you're in a fight and it scores you a point or you win an event or you can live for another day, good on you. You survived. Awesome, right? Doesn't mean you want to practice that technique. Just means you happen to get lucky and survive or get to that point. You want to practice good structure, good form. So left foot forward, you're back in low guard. I'm going to step forward and cut up. I'm going to end in our high forward guard. To cut backwards, I'm going to spin around and step back and cut. From here, 1, 2. We're going to do that 10 times. Up each side is 1. So let's start right foot forward, step back, rear low guard, left foot forward. So 10 cuts. Step 1, 2, that's 1. Ready? Go. Up. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Good. Switch feet. Let's do this. Let's start left foot forward, middle guard. Step back with that left foot into rear low guard. Why am I doing that? Pause, tangent. Why am I doing that? Because it's a guard. We're going to talk about invitations in a few minutes. But by moving from middle guard back into low guard, hopefully the camera caught that feeling of me moving backwards. I want to draw my opponent into me, especially if I see them get into a very aggressive guard, right? I want to try to trigger their response to attack me. They come forward, I can step back with my strike, right? They come forward, I can step out with my ascending strike. Remember the 8 directions that we moved in the footwork drill? If you didn't watch that, check it out. 8 directions of walking, I can apply these cuts in all those directions, right? The trick is, and we'll talk more about invitations, but it's an invitation. The movement is an invitation. Pause, come back. Back to the guard. Right foot forward, low guard. Step forward, cut. Loop around, step back. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Good. Now we're going to do 2 cuts. 2 advances, 2 strikes forward, 2 strikes walking backwards. Rear low guard, we'll start in mid position. That'll be 1. Let's do 10 of those. Ready? Go. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Good. Couple things to note when you're doing this. Make sure those cuts end with your arms, hands higher than your blade, your tip pointed towards your opponent's eyes. Right? It'll help promote and develop that muscle memory for good technique and good form and good body alignment. Now, right foot forward, rear low guard to the left, 2 cuts forward, 2 cuts back, 10 reps. Ready? Go. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, last one, 10. Good job. Again, if you couldn't get through all those, that's okay. Take it as far as you can go. If you had trouble with the technique, watch it again, do them slower. Once you get it, then start layering. Don't do 10. If you have no idea the form you're doing, all you're going to do is reinforce bad habits and no habits, right? Just junk. Don't. Practice them to get good form, then progress through the drill, right? While you're doing it, it's a great exercise. Make sure your feet are aligned, right? Make sure your toes are aligned. Make sure you're not making a sine wave with your head as you're moving, Okay? All right, I gotta move my laptop under the camera. I keep looking down to the right because that's where the screen is instead of at the camera. Sorry, folks. Okay, so let's do some more conditioning. Then we're gonna talk about imitations a little bit more. So put your saber off, put your saber down. 20 push-ups, 40 sit-ups, your pace. Ready? Your pace, go. All right. When you're done with your put-ups, push-ups, I'm getting tired already, I'm old. Turn over, 40 sit-ups. I'm gonna try to do some obliques as I do this, so again, do what you need to do to work on for your body. Ready? Okay, cool. Therein ends the conditioning part until we do the minute plank at the end of class. So, let's talk about invitations, right? Let's go through some guards, talk about what an invitation is, why it's beneficial, why we're doing this. And I have a feeling we're gonna repeat a lot of concepts. So forgive me, right? There is a wealth of knowledge and information available to you for those of you who wanna research on your own. I totally encourage it, right? We teach, you all know this, we teach a two-handed grip. It's kind of an amalgam between European longsword and Japanese kenjutsu. Yes, there are parallels that I see. Argue with me later, it's fine. I like a good argument. But I see parallels there. That being said, we will get folks, I will have students that will come in, do this for 3, 6, 9 months, 12 months and say, hey, I saw this video. Hungarian saber, Polish saber, Italian saber, German longsword, some historical weapon and system. Cool. We can adapt and morph your sabering techniques to match that style. That being said, we start everybody off the same. That way, everybody's got the same foundation to work from. All right. So let's talk about imitations. Let's start with guards. Everybody calls these something different. Italians have guards and invitations, and Japanese have kamae in their side, and then there's stances, and there's all kinds of words for this. Essentially, one refers to the position you get in. How to say this? I'm going to say it this way. Every stance, every position you put your body in should be intentional. Let's start there. Let's start that. Every movement you do should be done with purpose and intention. If you're not, ask yourself, why are you doing that? I'm in a sword fight, right? My intention is to hit my opponent and not get hit. 3 steps, I keep saying. Don't get hit your opponent, don't get hit back, right? So there's my intention. Every movement I do should be aligned to those objectives. Don't get hit my opponent, don't get hit back. Everything I do. It all starts with how our bodies align, because how our bodies aligned is how we walk and how we move. How we move dictates where we cut. Where we cut dictates how we hit our opponent, right? On the contrary to that, watching my opponent and the body, the position they're in, the way they move is going to tell me how they're going to cut, which will allow me to position myself in a way that I can defend myself, not get hit, or I can put myself in a way to hit them first, or, well, I can start them in a position that says, hey, which is what we're going to talk about today, imitations, which is kind of planting the seed in their mind of what they should be doing. Fencing's all about deception and control, I guess. I keep refining that definition in my head over the years. It is an art of deceiving your opponent to make them do what you want them to do, so you can do what you want to do. The challenge is your opponent's doing the exact same thing, or at least should be, right? And that's when it becomes the chess match. That's when you see the two samurai facing off and they don't move. In their heads, they're playing through the scenario of how they're fighting, who's doing what, and then all of a sudden one of them will say, I concede you won. Because they've realized that along the way, they made an error, they caused something to happen they didn't expect to happen, and that would have triggered them to not win that match, or not survive that encounter. Kind of along the lines, if you watch Sherlock Holmes, I've used this analogy, the one with Robert Downey Jr. from, I don't know, whatever it was, 10 years ago, whatever it is, where he saw the fight before it happened, and you saw it on the screen play through before he actually did the attack. Similar, right? The concept of I'm planning my attack. I'm doing things to set up the next couple things while I still execute those first few things. So, anyway, intention. I start off getting into a position of intention. Maybe that's a good phrase for it. We always start off right foot forward, left foot back, middle guard. Why? It's a very defensive posture. I know a few of you have said that to me, and I'm sure you just said it just now. It's a very defensive posture. I am keeping my opponent away from me. Am I inviting them to hit me? At first glance, no, because my sword, my saber is in front of my body. In a way, though, it is an invitation in and of itself, because for them to hit me, they have to do one of two things. Move my blade to create the line of attack, which I think we talked about a couple weeks ago, or move themselves to create a new line of attack. So in a way, even the simplest of guards, a middle guard, is an invitation and is triggering our opponent to do something, right? Now, some opponents, when we're back from middle guard, and I think we talked about this a couple weeks ago, they'll do an engagement of my blades. They'll come and we'll touch blades, and we'll kind of get that back and forth and start feeling each other's intention. I'm learning what my opponent's thinking by feeling their blade against mine. We can feel movements. I can feel when they're about to let go, when they're going to go to the outside or inside. You can feel that, right, if they allow that. Again, by middle guard, I am allowing that. I could also use those tactics, and we'll talk about that at another point as well, of how to use that as another tactic. Anyway, let's come back to the guards. Middle guard. The invitation is move my blade, move to a new line. So I know my opponent's going to do probably one of two or three things. Right? Not a direct invitation necessarily, it is, but it's a subtle one. If I'm in middle guard and I want my opponent, I've watched my opponent, maybe they're strong and they're to an inside attack, good. Maybe they're weak on a counter attack, we've been fighting for a little bit, I'm seeing they're a single attack throwing opponent, cool, right? I want to capitalize on that. I might go off to the outside, just a little bit. My tip, which I usually want aligned to my opponent, just off to the outside. What it should do to my opponent is if I'm here, we're fighting, and I go, I've now opened up this inside of my body. If I see them across from me and they step up and they're in this shoulder guard on the right-hand side, right, and they're ready to attack, and their highest probability attack is to the inside, my inside, I'm not going to close my inside line and force them because they want to come this way. Good. I want them to do what I want them to think they're doing what they want to do. So I might open up a little bit. Some people I can open up a lot and they'll take it. Some people, if I open up a lot, they know I'm trying to gauge them in, so they're not going to take that hit, right? So it depends on who you're fighting and their level of experience as to what you can do. So I might just open it up. Now I've got an inside invitation. It's a middle guard with an invitation to the inside. They come in for the attack. I can counterattack and be prepared for it. I might also want to counterattack into a high guard, into a thrust. I might want to smack their blade aside and come across to the back edge cut, like we talked about before. I'm setting my opponent up to deliver the attack that they think they want to do. I'm confirming it. Yes, I want you to do that, so that I can then execute my strategy. Now, the thing is, we don't know necessarily what their secondary strategy is, and that's where it kind of is the back and forth. So, again, an invitation opens up a line that encourages your opponent to attack in that line. Probably the easiest way to say it. There are much more eloquent definitions in the fencing treaties, and I'll look a couple up and I'll say them next week. But essentially, just you're giving your opponent an area of attack. That's it. I'm inviting you to hit me where you see me open. Middle guard, drop down a low guard. Maybe I'll even lean forward. Hopefully you're catching that. If you're in a high guard across from me, you want to hit me in the head, hit me in the head. Because I want you to. Because in my head, I'm like, okay, hanging parry, counterattack with the head, step in because I see them, their left foot forward means their right foot's going to come out for their attack. They're going to step out. Okay, so I want to step over and I want to come in for an attack. And then I want to be able to clear the line so I can't get hit on the way out. All this thinking is all triggered from the invitation. I don't know what drills we're going to get from this, so bear with me, but I want you to start thinking about this. As you're doing your guards, right, as you're in middle guard, I want you to go to an inside middle guard with my point to my opponent. I want you to open that point up. It should feel, look across in a mirror, you should see openings. Back to middle guard. Outside middle guard with the point aligned to my opponent, open the point up. See what that allows your opponent. Now flip the switch, right? Now be the opponent. Doesn't matter what attack you're coming from, and we'll talk about that in a few seconds, right? If you see your opponent open up a line of attack, and this is where I want you to start visualizing in a mirror as you're doing this. Visualize both sides of the encounter. Be the person that you, be you, and then be the person in the mirror, and then the person that mirrors you, and you are the responder. Does that make sense? Visualize it. You can get it, right? Middle guard. Outside, invitation outside. Now look in the mirror. See that open up. Okay, I can attack their back leg, but it's kind of back, right? I can attack their outside flank, by inside flank, torso, but I have to really step in because I want to get this opening. I want to own this space, right? We'll talk about space in a minute. I want to own this space. So, invitation. Okay, so I'm bringing my opponent in, but also I'm seeing an invitation. What do? Do I accept it? So when you see an invitation, I'm trying to think there's 2 or 3 things. We'll start with 2 and we'll see if I can remember the third. So let's start with an encounter. 2 opponents are across from each other. You're across from your opponent. Each of you get into a position, right? Take your favorite position. Go to an invitation. My opponent in the mirror went to an invitation of inside or outside middle guard. I have a couple options I can do. I can counter with a different invitation because now I see where their blade is. They might want to throw that twist and cut or come around expecting me to come down. Okay? So I might take them up on the invitation and attack. Find the opening. I might do the opposite and attack into their strong. I might counter with a different invitation. So if my opponent is here, I might say, okay, fine. I'm going to step back with a low outside guard. You want to take that line? I'm going to give you my outside shoulder. Do you want it? So now I'm forcing my opponent to say, wait, why did they just counter my invitation with an invitation and not attack me? Because it depends on who wants the first attack. You will get folks that are an offensive fighter that will just want to go, 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 and attack, attack, attack. They may respond to an invitation very well. They may not even know what an invitation is, and they just want to hit you. So you have to understand whether opponents are going to respond to invitations or not. If I go into an invitation and they come over and hit me over here, they don't really care about this invitation, or they don't know enough to accept what it is and take it for the baiting that it really is. So that's how you can start to learn about your opponents. Some opponents that just don't have that kind of experience level yet, everyone will get there if they choose to. But if they're not there yet and they're not taking advantage of that, your job won't, well, never mind. So your job might be to teach your opponent, depends on what your perspective is. But learn from that so you can grow, right? Learn how to address an opponent that doesn't accept an invitation. What are they going to do? They want to find an opening and hit you there, but they might already have a strategy that they're just set on doing no matter what. So let's kind of bring this full circle for a second. There are a few things I didn't talk about that I think I should have followed up on. If you're listening out there and you remembered what those are, shoot me a message because I have no memory of this stuff usually. but I will watch the video and see if I can pull that back off. So, an invitation is your way of encouraging your opponent to strike where you're giving the opening. As an opponent, you can accept that invitation and attack on that line. You can counter that invitation with another invitation, or you can go contrary to that invitation, so there is a third, and cut into it or attack in a different line, right? You could trigger, we talked about false attacks, I think it was a week and a half ago, right? Out of measure attacks or the feint. You can use their invitation to throw a feint to that area and then counterattack to where they have a strong. So there's a lot of opportunities, but again, the invitation is the way of me triggering and initiating the fight without moving forward and moving into it. As an opponent, I can accept, I can redirect, I can attack, right? Hopefully that makes sense. If it doesn't, ask me and we'll talk about it some more. All right, let's go through this for a second. Invitations, movement, I have no idea where I was going with that. Okay, so some other areas of invitation. Again, we divide the body into quadrants. So right about torso, sternum level, cut a horizontal line. Cut it down the center of my body. I have an inside, I have an outside. I have an inside high, an inside low, outside high, outside low, right? All of my guards apply to one of those quadrants or two of those quadrants, right? Middle guard, inside, outside. Invitation on the outside middle. Invitation inside middle. Low guard, low outside, invitation. Low inside with an invitation. Rear low, not so much. It's a rear low guard, it's an attacking posture. My whole invitation is giving you the entire front of my body. Right? High guard, giving you the entire front of my body. Now, again, very offensive position. As a general rule of thumb, if your opponent has their tip away from them and not in a defensive position trying to keep you away, then odds are they're just going to want to hit you with it, right? So that's where you can use the position of your opponent to give them a complimentary invitation to let them take it, or give them a counter one to get them to think, wait a second, they think I'm going to come up this way, but they're giving me an invitation on the other side, right? And you start to make your opponent think. So, our other guards. High forward guard. Yeah, I can do an invitation from here, either side. Right? Inside middle, guarded middle. Again, very much this side so you guys can see on that camera. Right? Very defensive, but I can drop down into a low. I can go out to the outside. I can kind of open up areas of my body that will encourage my opponent to attack me there. So whether we call them stances, kami, guards, invitations, so remember the one thing, they have to be done with intention, right? You've got to do them for a purpose. The reason why, so I want to remember one of the points I wanted to talk about. One of the things that we find ourselves in is there are some positions we can be in, some postures that we can be in that aren't necessarily, don't lend themselves to an attacking or a guard or an invitation. That being said, we practice cuts from there. Rear low guard, right, might be a starting position, but quite honestly, it's a very baiting position because it's like starting a fight up here in guard like we're boxing, right? You know what the person's going to do. That being said, if I'm in a fight with my opponent and I get tired or I happen to drop down, I practice cuts from here so that I know muscle memory what to do, how to move, what I can do from that position. So that's kind of why the term that was in old art that I studied and still try to study, kami is posture, right? It's a moment in time. So if I take a snapshot of any two fighters that are fighting, if you freeze frame any of our videos we have up here on YouTube, the two fighters should be in something resembling a guard, right? Because everything we throw, every attack we throw, steps through a guard into a position, right? Ends in a guard, something, whether I'm blocking, counterattacking, I'm in middle guard. Every movement that I do starts in a guard and ends in a guard. It starts in intention, a position with intention, and ends in a position with intention. Call that whatever phrase you want to call that, right? I hope that makes sense. So try that, pick one of our videos, watch it, hit pause. See if you can see the guards the two fighters are in, and then watch the next thing that they do. Right? I don't know how to run slow motion on YouTube. I think there's slow-mo. I think you put slow-mo in the URL, you can run it in slow motion, something like that. Someone look it up and tell me how to do slow motion on YouTube. But that's, you can then pause it, see what happens next. Are they attacking with the highest probability attack, the most direct attack they can do? Are they doing a combination attack? Are they doing a compound attack? Are they not, right? So I'm gonna actually do that. It's been kind of fun to do that a little bit and see what's going on. Hopefully that makes sense. It's kind of a primer on invitations. There's a lot to talk about. I'd rather be here with a bunch of you here, but if not, the way to just use a mirror, have your, whatever person you're in the house with, right? Get into a guard. Show them how to do in middle guard. Show your brother, your sister, your mom, dad, grandparents, aunt, uncle, whatever, whomever you have in the house with you. Show them how to go into middle guard. Move them into an inside middle guard. Look at it. Where can I attack? What are my opportunities? Right? Ask them, where do they feel exposed to an attack? Play with that and go through all the guards that we have. See what you come back with. I'd really be curious to know what you guys come back with. I'd like doing homework every once in a while, so if you're watching and have gotten through this far and have stayed on the call the whole time, thank you. You're not forced to be stuck in here with me. You can actually hang up and pause it for later, but thank you. Try that. See how it goes and see how it feels. All right, so we want to end these now with plank. 1 minute plank. We did it on Tuesday. It went very quickly. I hope you all felt the same way. If you didn't make it the full minute, that's okay. You made it as far as you could, and that's good. Today, try to do at least 1 or 2 seconds longer than what you did on Tuesday. If you go the full minute, great, stay there. Don't move there. See how far you can go. Time yourself. You only can get benefits out of doing this, right? There is nothing negative about staying in plank. I'm not going to do the 8 hours that one guy did ever, right? That's just not going to happen. But you can only get benefit out of doing plank. So, let's do it. Everybody down. You can go up on your arms and do plank from here, back nice and straight. You can go down on your forearms and do plank from there. I'm going to do it on the forearms today. Let's go for a minute. All right, everybody ready? Everybody there? Go. Hopefully my back is straight, I'm trying to watch in the mirror. You don't want your butt up in the air. You don't want it down. Nice and straight, nice and comfortable. Tighten your core, breathe. I talk a lot while I fight because it helps me breathe. I talk while I'm doing this because it helps me breathe. It helps me breathe. It reminds me to breathe. I keep breathing the entire exercise. Don't forget. Nice and slow. We're ready at 30 seconds. So good job if you lasted this long. Good job if you went as far as you can go. You went that extra second. Good. Let's keep holding it. We got another 20 seconds to go. Ten more seconds. That went pretty fast, I think. 5, 4, 3, 2, hold it. Give me another 10 seconds. Come on, you can do it. 10 more seconds. Hold it. Come on, 5 seconds. 4, 3, 2, 1. Good. Awesome. Nice job. We're done. Thank you all very much. I appreciate you coming on or watching this after the fact. Hopefully you're enjoying it. Remember to like the video, subscribe to the channel. Liking it helps us out a lot, so please do that. If there are topics that you want me to cover, shoot me a message. I would love to cover them. I think that's it. Thanks, everybody. Have a good weekend. Be safe. Stay at home, please. Stay with those who you're with at home. Get on social media. Connect with those around us. If you're not in our chat groups, ping me, and I will add you to our chat groups. So many memes going around on the chats. Anyway, a lot of fun, and again, keeps us all connected. So, thank you all very much. Have a good night, have a good weekend, and we'll be back here officially next Tuesday. Come to the 6 o'clock yoga class, and then stay for the 7 o'clock Sabering class. Thanks all. Cheers.